Welcome back to the Metabolic Revolution podcast. I'm Dr. Steve Prosciutti, and today I'm going to tell you why that trendy fasting protocol you're following might be the worst thing you've ever done for your metabolism. Yeah, I said it. Intermittent fasting, OMAD, extended fasts. They're not optimization strategies. They're metabolic suicide missions. Quick reminder before we destroy another sacred cow. This is educational content, not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making dietary changes. Now let's talk about why you should probably eat breakfast tomorrow. This is episode 9, and we've been systematically dismantling every piece of conventional health wisdom. We've exposed how PUFAs poison your cells, shown that energy is everything, revealed the gut endotoxin disaster, vindicated sugar and salt, demolished the cholesterol myth, freed you from protein obsession, and last week, showed you how your exercise routine might be wrecking your metabolism. Today's topic hits different though, because fasting has become almost religious in the health space. People talk about their fasting windows like badges of honor. They brag about going days without food. They treat hunger like weakness, and they're literally starving their cells into dysfunction while thinking they're achieving some kind of metabolic enlightenment. I get it. The logic seems bulletproof. Our ancestors didn't have 24/7 food access. Fasting triggers autophagy. It increases growth hormone. It improves insulin sensitivity. The research is there, right? Well, yes and no. And that's where things get really interesting. Let me tell you about Jennifer. 34 years old, following a perfect 16-8 intermittent fasting protocol for 2 years. She came to me because despite eating in an 8-hour window and keeping calories reasonable, she was gaining weight, losing hair, couldn't get warm, and felt like she was thinking through mud. Her morning cortisol was double what it should be. Her thyroid hormone was in the basement. Her body temperature, 96.2 degrees at noon. She was literally in metabolic hibernation. When I told her to start eating breakfast, she panicked. But I'm not hungry in the morning anymore. Of course she wasn't. Her body had shut down hunger signals to conserve energy. That's not metabolic flexibility. That's metabolic suppression. Here's what nobody talks about when they're preaching the gospel of fasting. Your body doesn't know the difference between voluntary fasting and starvation. To your cells, to your mitochondria, to your thyroid, not eating is not eating. Period. The stress response is identical whether you're fasting for spiritual enlightenment or because you're lost in the wilderness. Now, I need to address the elephant in the room. But Dr. Steve, I feel amazing when I fast. More energy, clearer thinking, less bloating. I hear this all the time. And you know what? You're not imagining it. You do feel better, but not for the reasons you think. Remember episode 3 when we talked about endotoxin? That bacterial poison from your gut that causes inflammation, brain fog, and metabolic dysfunction? Well, here's the dirty secret about why fasting makes some people feel better initially. You're not feeding the bacteria. When you stop eating, especially when you stop eating the fiber, the fermented foods, the complex carbohydrates that feed bacterial overgrowth, endotoxin production drops. You're not healing anything, you're just temporarily avoiding the foods that were making you sick. It's like saying you feel better when you stop hitting yourself with a hammer. The solution isn't to keep not eating, it's to fix what you're eating. But this relief comes at a massive cost. Within hours of not eating, your blood sugar starts dropping. Your body releases glucagon to mobilize stored glucose from your liver. So far, so good, right? This is normal between meals. But keep fasting and things get dark fast. As your liver glycogen depletes, and we're talking just 8 to 12 hours here, your body starts panicking. Adrenaline kicks in. Cortisol surges. These aren't optimization hormones, folks. These are survival hormones. They're literally the same hormones that flood your system when you're being chased by a predator. And what do these stress hormones do? They break down your own tissue for fuel. That process called gluconeogenesis we talked about in the sugar episode, your body starts cannibalizing muscle tissue to make glucose for your brain. It's converting protein to sugar the hard way, with massive metabolic stress. The energy cost of this process is astronomical. You're spending 6 ATP molecules to make glucose that gives you back only 2 ATP molecules. Let that sink in. Not only are you breaking down your muscles, bones, and organs to produce glucose, but you're putting yourself further and further into a metabolic energy sink. It's like burning $100 bills to stay warm. If you want to understand the real science behind this, our Energy Reset Essentials mini course breaks down exactly how stress hormones destroy metabolism and what to do about it. For just $39, one-time fee, you get the meal timing protocols that actually work, the foods that support thyroid function, and the exact steps to escape the fasting trap without gaining weight. You can find it at energy.biosparkhealth.com. But let's keep going, because this gets worse. The fasting advocates love to talk about ketones. Your brain can run on ketones. Sure, it can. Just like you can survive on 3 hours of sleep. Survival isn't optimization. When your body produces ketones, it's not celebrating. It's scrambling. It's trying to spare glucose for the tissues that absolutely need it while keeping your brain from shutting down. I want to share something that should be required reading for anyone considering fasting, the Minnesota starvation experiment. In the 1940s, researchers took healthy young men and put them on what they called a semi-starvation diet of about 1,800 calories a day. That's more than most people eat when they're intermittent fasting. These weren't overweight folks trying to lose a few pounds. These were fit, healthy men. Within weeks, they became obsessed with food. They couldn't concentrate on anything else. Their metabolic rate plummeted by 40%. Their body temperature dropped. They became depressed, anxious, and socially withdrawn. Their testosterone crashed. Some developed what we'd now recognize as eating disorders. And here's the kicker. It took some of them 2 years of eating 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day to fully recover their metabolism. But that was extreme, you might say. That was actual starvation. Except it wasn't. It was just consistent mild calorie restriction. The kind people do every day with their fasting protocols. Your body's response to not eating doesn't care about your intentions. It doesn't distinguish between noble fasting and forced starvation. Let's talk about what fasting does to your thyroid, because this is where the metabolic damage really shows up. Your thyroid hormone T3, the active form that actually drives your metabolism, drops like a stone when you fast. Studies show it can drop by 30 to 50% in just a few days. Your body is literally turning down the metabolic thermostat to conserve energy. And this isn't temporary. Chronic fasting, even intermittent fasting, keeps your thyroid suppressed. Your body learns to run on less. Your temperature drops, your pulse slows, your hair falls out, your digestion slows to a crawl. You're not becoming metabolically flexible. You're becoming metabolically impaired. But the growth hormone increase. The fasting crowd loves to talk about growth hormone. Yes, growth hormone increases during fasting. You know when else it increases? During any stress. It's not a sign of optimization. It's part of the stress response, working alongside cortisol to break down tissue for fuel. It's your body's attempt to preserve muscle mass while it's literally eating itself. And autophagy, the cellular cleanup process everyone's obsessed with, you don't need to starve yourself to trigger autophagy. You know what else increases autophagy? Adequate thyroid hormone, good sleep, appropriate exercise, eating enough carbohydrates to support cellular energy. Your cells clean themselves just fine when they have enough energy to function properly. Here's something that'll really make your head spin. Eating frequently, especially eating carbohydrates frequently, actually improves insulin sensitivity. I know that sounds backwards given everything you've heard, but stick with me. When you eat regular meals with adequate carbohydrates, your cells stay insulin sensitive because they're regularly processing glucose. They stay good at it. It's like staying in practice. When you fast, sure, your blood sugar drops and you need less insulin. But that's not improved insulin sensitivity, that's just absence of challenge. It's like saying you're great at math because you never get math questions wrong. But in reality, you just never do math problems. And to make matters worse, when you finally do eat after a fast, your body often overreacts. Cortisol becomes elevated, which impairs glucose uptake. It's because your cells have been running on fatty acids and are now less efficient at switching back to glucose. That's why many people experience energy crashes and brain fog when they break their fasts. For those dealing with the metabolic damage from chronic fasting, our Bioenergetic Reset program provides systematic recovery protocols. twice monthly coaching calls, customized meal timing strategies, supplement guidance to restore thyroid function. Everything you need to rebuild your metabolism from the ground up. At $133 per month, it's less than most people spend on their fasting apps and supplements that are keeping them sick. Details at biosparkhealth.com/courses. Now I want to address something specifically for the women listening, because this is critical. Fasting is particularly devastating for female hormones. Women's bodies are exquisitely sensitive to energy availability. Even short-term fasting can disrupt menstrual cycles, tank progesterone, and trigger a cascade of hormonal dysfunction. I've seen women lose their periods entirely from intermittent fasting. They're told it's normal adaptation. It's not. It's your body shutting down reproduction because it thinks you're in a famine. The research on this is clear but ignored. Women who fast show greater increases in cortisol than men. They experience more thyroid suppression, they're more likely to develop blood sugar dysregulation, yet the fasting protocols rarely differentiate. They treat women's bodies like smaller versions of men's bodies, and women pay the price with their hormonal health. So what about all those success stories? The people who lost weight with intermittent fasting, let me explain what's really happening. When you first start fasting, you might feel amazing. Adrenaline is high, cortisol is pumping, you feel alert, energized. Even euphoric, you're literally high on stress hormones. It's the same feeling people get from other stressors like cold exposure or extreme exercise. It's not health, it's your body mobilizing everything it has for survival. The weight loss? Sure, you might lose weight. You're eating less, breaking down muscle tissue, depleting glycogen, and the water that comes with it. Your metabolic rate is dropping, but initially the calorie deficit overcomes that, but give it time. The weight loss stalls, you feel colder, energy drops. You have to fast longer to maintain the same weight. You're not fixing your metabolism, you're breaking it. And here's what really gets me. The same people promoting fasting will tell you that yo-yo dieting destroys your metabolism, that chronic calorie restriction is harmful, that you need to heal your metabolism. Then they turn around and promote voluntary starvation as a health practice. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. Let me give you a different perspective, one based on actual metabolic health rather than stress adaptation. Your body functions best when it has consistent fuel availability. Not excess, not deficiency, consistent availability. This means eating regularly throughout the day. Yes, that means breakfast. Yes, that means snacks if you're hungry. Yes, that means not going to bed with your stomach growling. When you eat regularly, several magical things happen. Your thyroid stays active because it knows fuel is available. Your stress hormones stay low because your body isn't panicking about energy. Your muscles stay full of glycogen. Your brain has steady glucose. Your cells maintain their metabolic machinery instead of dismantling it for survival. Think about children for a moment. They eat frequently. They snack. They wake up hungry. They don't naturally fast, and they have blazing metabolisms. They're warm, energetic, and heal from injuries in days. We train this out of them with meal schedules and fasting protocols, then wonder why everyone's metabolism is broken by adulthood. I had a client, Marcus, who'd been doing OMAD, 1 meal a day, for a year. He was proud of his discipline. He'd lost 30 pounds, but he came to me because he felt terrible. No libido, no energy, couldn't build muscle despite lifting weights. His testosterone was that of an 80-year-old man, and he was only 35. We started with something simple. Eat breakfast. Just eggs, fruit, and some honey. He was terrified he'd gain weight. Within a week, his energy started returning. His body temperature went from 96.8 to 97.6. Within a couple months, his testosterone doubled, not from supplements or hormone therapy, just from feeding his body consistently. He did gain 5 pounds initially, glycogen and muscle. Then his metabolism cranked up and he started losing fat while eating 3 meals and snacks daily. This is what I see over and over. People escape the fasting trap, start eating regularly, and their bodies come alive again. Temperature normalizes, hormones balance, energy returns. They can't believe they spent years voluntarily starving themselves and calling it health optimization. Now, let me be clear about something. There's a massive difference between processed food grazing and strategic regular eating. I'm not telling you to pound donuts every 2 hours. I'm talking about real food, balanced meals, appropriate portions, eaten regularly throughout the day, protein, carbohydrates, saturated fats, and salt at each meal, the foods your body actually recognizes and can use for energy. And timing matters. Eating a solid breakfast within an hour of waking tells your body the famine is over. It stimulates thyroid hormone production, lowers cortisol, and sets your metabolic rate for the day. Skipping breakfast does the opposite. It extends the overnight fast, maintains the stress response, and tells your body to conserve energy. Lunch should come when you're hungry, not when the clock says your eating window opens. If that's 11 a.m., eat at 11 a.m. If it's 1 p.m., eat at 1 p.m. Your body's hunger signals, when not destroyed by chronic fasting, are incredibly intelligent. They tell you when fuel is needed. Afternoon snacks aren't weakness. They're metabolic support. A piece of fruit with cheese, some dates with coconut oil, milk, and honey. These maintain blood sugar, prevent the afternoon cortisol spike, and keep your metabolism humming. Dinner doesn't need to be your last food until noon tomorrow. If you're hungry before bed, eat something. Going to bed hungry isn't virtuous. It's stressful. But won't I gain weight eating all the time? This is the fear, right? Here's the truth bomb. When your metabolism is healthy, when your thyroid is functioning, when your stress hormones are balanced, your body naturally regulates its weight. You don't gain weight from eating frequently. You gain weight from metabolic dysfunction, which fasting creates. Let that sink in. The research on meal frequency is fascinating when you look at it without fasting bias. Studies consistently show that people who eat more frequently have better metabolic markers. Lower cortisol, better thyroid function, improved insulin sensitivity, higher metabolic rate. But these studies get buried under the mountain of fasting propaganda. And can we talk about the social aspect for a moment? Fasting isolates people. They can't share meals. They skip social gatherings. They become orthorexic about their eating windows. I've seen relationships destroyed by fasting protocols. Food is meant to be shared, enjoyed, celebrated, not feared, restricted, and controlled by arbitrary time windows. If you're dealing with serious metabolic damage from years of fasting, if your hormones are shot, your temperature is crashed, your digestion is wrecked, our one-on-one coaching can help you rebuild from the ground up. We've helped hundreds recover from fasting-induced metabolic damage. This isn't about generic protocols. It's personalized guidance based on your specific situation, health history, and goals. You're not broken, you're just underfed. Apply at biosparkhealth.com. Look, if you're currently fasting and feeling resistance to everything I'm saying, I get it. You've invested time, effort, maybe even identity into your fasting practice. The thought of eating breakfast might genuinely scare you. That fear, that's not wisdom, that's metabolic dysfunction. Healthy bodies want breakfast. Healthy metabolisms crave regular fuel. Start slowly if you need to. Add breakfast back first. Something simple, eggs and fruit, organic sourdough bread with honey and butter, full-fat yogurt with maple syrup. Notice how you feel, not just immediately, but throughout the day. Most people find their afternoon energy improves dramatically just from eating breakfast. Then add snacks when hungry. Stop looking at the clock and start listening to your body. Those hunger signals you've suppressed, they're not the enemy. They're your body's intelligent fuel gauge. Ignoring them isn't discipline, it's dysfunction. And please, stop glorifying hunger. Hunger isn't cleansing. It's not spiritual. It's not optimizing. It's your body asking for fuel. Imagine ignoring your car's fuel light and calling it vehicular optimization. It's absurd when you think about it that way, isn't it? If you want to dive deeper into the science of meal timing and metabolism, our research team has created an incredible deep dive episode that goes into the studies the fasting community doesn't want you to see. We break down the Minnesota starvation experiment, examine what happens to thyroid hormone during fasting, and show you real client transformations from escaping the fasting trap. Look for that episode. It's labeled as a research deep dive, and it'll change how you think about meal timing forever. The bottom line is this: fasting isn't a biohack. It's a biological stress. Your body doesn't need periods of starvation to function optimally. It needs consistent, appropriate fuel. The whole idea that we need to stress our bodies into health is backwards. Health comes from support, not stress, from nourishment, not starvation, from working with our biology, not against it. Stop fasting. Start eating. Start living. Your metabolism will thank you. Your hormones will thank you. And that person you were before you started starving yourself, they'll come back. I promise. Coming up next week, we're giving you the single most important diagnostic tool your doctor doesn't know about, your body temperature. If you've been told your labs are normal, but you feel like death, if your hands and feet are always cold, if you can't lose weight no matter what you try, next week's episode will finally explain why. We'll show you why 98.6 degrees is a lie, why anything below 97.8 means you're metabolically suppressed, and how a simple thermometer tells you more about your health than thousands of dollars in lab work. This might be the most practical episode yet. This is Dr. Steve Prosciutti reminding you, you didn't come here for more rules about when you can't eat. You came for the truth about what your body actually needs. And the truth is, it needs breakfast. Remember, this has been educational information only. Work with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your eating patterns or meal timing. The revolution continues. You came to the right place. Let's talk.